Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards. Happy Friday. So, this will be brief. I said that I would come on today and look at the felon's health and circumstances in the month of June. So, that's what I'm going to do. Um, Before that, I want to remind you that tomorrow I'm going to do 5 minutes worth for each sign of each astrological sign. I'm going to do pull 5 cards and just talk for 3 to 5 minutes about what I see coming in for each sign. I'll start with Aries and work my way through. What I'll do is do Aries and then I'll hit the pause button and make note of the timestamp. And so at the end, I can put all the timestamps in so that you can go right to your rising sign, your moon sign, and your sun sign, preferably all three. So that'll be tomorrow. Sunday, I am hosting Violetta, Psychic Violetta. If you're not following her, that's the name of her channel. And that'll be at, mm, let's see, I forgot what time I said it was. Hmm. Oops, everything's falling over. Let's see. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Hmm. Oh, no, Violetta's not until next month. I have a different guest um, coming up on Sunday. Someone who has been here before was one time, and I think you'll enjoy this guest. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. And that will be, wait, what time do we say? I, okay, yeah, the time is, okay, that's going to be at 2 p.m. Pacific, which is 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so I think you'll enjoy I know you'll enjoy this guest. So that'll be fun. Okay. Before I get to looking at the Fallon and his June, I wanted to mention something that I read on yesterday, which is Pam Bondi's testimony. And I wanted to reference the vertical line that I in the reading. So I did the line of five, and if you recall, the last card in the line of five, if you go back in the video, you'll see was crossroads. And it made me think that she might take a different tack. In fact, what she did was um, she threw other people under the bus, right? Um, no, don't look at me. Look at them over there. So she made this decision to really take a pickaxe or a scythe, if you like, and essentially backstab um, um, Todd Blanche and Cash Patel. And why did she do it? For the felon. The other thing that she didn't do, was she refused to answer any questions about him, about the felon. So she remains loyal to him. I suspect that it is only and ever um, financial. I think they've had a long-standing financial arrangement, entertainment purposes only, and allegedly, but that's what I think. And that's why she couldn't say anything about him that would not be, um, an indictment essentially of him. But she was happy to throw Blanche and Patel under the bus. With Blanche, what she said was, "Oh, I handed the whole thing over to him." What? And then about Patel, she said, "Well, I asked him for the files, the whole full files, and he never produced them." What? Has she never heard of Teddy Roosevelt's line that the buck stopped? No, was it Truman, Harry Truman? Harry Truman's line. The buck stops here. That was a sign that he had on his desk in the Oval Office. The buck stops here. She was the one who was the Attorney General. But she's passing the buck. Also, I noticed she wore a shirt, like an open-necked shirt, so that everybody could see the bandage from where she had the thyroid surgery for cancer. Um, I don't know. I mean, if it were me, I'd probably wear some kind of mock turtleneck or something to cover it up. Unless, of course, I was going for the sympathy vote, and I wouldn't put it past her to have tried to do that. But at any rate, that line just struck me as interesting because this is the felon. This is her turning on Blanche and Patel, making the decision to do that, saying, "Don't look at me, look at them. They're the ones who are at fault." It's not going to work. I mean, it's not like people are saying, "Oh, okay. Well, Pam, we see that you're the innocent bystander, so go and have a nice life and a good recovery, and may the force be with you." I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think she will be disbarred, and I do think Blanche will end up in jail. But that's another story for another time. Okay. So the felon has had quite a bad day, um, which of course means it's a good day for us. We know that a judge has ordered his name removed from the Kennedy Center. Well, first of all, it shouldn't have been on there in the first place. Well, that's what the judge said. But beyond that, so now the felon's mad. So he says, well, he's going to, probably take the Kennedy Center off of his list of projects because, that's a losing cause. Well, okay, nobody asked you to put it on your list of projects, so good, take it off. The other huge bit of bad news that he got has to do with this 1776 billion case. So if you recall, originally he wanted to sue um, the IRS, which means sue you and me, right? We're the ones who fund the IRS. Okay. And he wanted to sue the IRS because his tax records, he said, were publicized. Okay. And so that case was all ready to go. And then at the last minute, if you recall, he pulled it back. No, 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 I'm not going to sue. And in return for me not suing, I'm going to have this, I'm going to do a settlement with myself and take 1776 billion and give it out to all the people who've been wronged because they've been on my side. Well, first of all, what are you talking about? First of all, the reason he withdrew the suit in the first place was because he knew good and well that a judge would say, wait, so you're the plaintiff and the defendant both? How does that work? So he knew that it would be problematic. So he pulled it back and then decides to do this consolation prize to himself. So the judge has said, wait a minute, hold on, not so fast. Not so fast. You may have taken it all back, but I don't take it back. I want that case back on my docket. I want it back on my docket because I want you to prove to me how you were not trying to rip off the American public. I mean, this is terrible for him. I mean, terrible because of course he was trying to rip off the American public. And his theory was if he couldn't do it one way, he'd do it the other way. He'd pull that suit back and then as compensation, uh, give himself this, you know, symbolic amount of money on our around our 250th anniversary. So this is bad, 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 bad for him. Oh, and so he's having his birthday party in a couple of weeks. So that's good that we're looking at June because his birthday is June 14th. He'll be 80 years old. And apparently all of these fifth, sixth tier acts were invited to perform. Uh, Nobody told them that it was political in nature, I guess. I think that the acts thought this was just sort of like a 250th birthday celebration early or something like that. Now, how you can possibly think that, let me just first say, in this day and age, if the felon invites you to perform somewhere, you can bet that what people are meant to take away from that is the fact that you support the felon. Well, now that the felon's numbers are in the tank and he's got like what, a 27 point approval rating, nobody wants to perform. I think he's probably still got Kid Rock doing something. And what's that other one? Vanilla Ice. Oh my God. But I mean, they're dropping like flies, saying, no, I'm not doing this. I don't know how my name got on that list, or my name was on the list, but I didn't know what it was for, whatever. They're all backing out. And again, the fact that they are 10th tier acts in the first place, I mean, he might have to get up there and, as my mother would have said, expel Flatus to the tune of the Star Spangled Banner. I mean, that might have to be the entertainment. You can look that up if you don't know what that means. Expel Flatus. That was what my mother would have called it. So, anyway, he is just not having a good end of May, which we can only hope means that he will have a worse June. We know that, there's talk about this peace plan, but if it ever does go anywhere, Iran wins the prize. They get billions in rebuild money and everything else. Plus, they probably still get the control over the Strait of Hormuz. He can't get out of this. So what I think I'm going to do is use that tarot deck that I've shown you before. I really like it. I just feel like since we're living in these times, it appeals to my macabre sense of humor. I think it's a beautiful deck, but the name and the images, it's called The Tarot of the Abyss, and it is by Anaturian, Anatourian, Anaturian. And it's a black and white deck, sort of ink on paper kind of deck. And so I'm going to pull um, a card for each week in June, and then I'm going to pull three Lenormand clarifiers, and this will be for the felons first, second, third, and fourth week in June. So June 1st is Monday. So we'll have the 1st through the 7th. We'll have the 8th through the 15th. We'll have the 16th through the 22nd. And we'll have the 23rd through the 30th or the 29th, but you know what I mean. Okay. So first, the tarot. This is kind of like what I do on Substack if you're not yet familiar with what I do over there. Once a week, I write an essay, an article, and I always start with a tarot card. And that sort of sets the stage for what I'm going to be talking about. And then I pull clarifiers, which are Lenormand. And then I always pull from an African oracle called the Adinkra, and I pull a single card from that. So if you're interested in seeing how cards have conversations together, um, when they don't necessarily speak the same language, right? Um, Go over there and subscribe. It's free to subscribe and to read everything that I write over there. Okay, so first we will pull four tarot cards for the Felon, and then I will clarify them with Lenormand. Cards have all been well shuffled, and I just pull the card that feels right. Okay. Um, Hold on, just want to look at something. Okay, so all right, and I'll pull the Lenormand in a minute. So the first week we have the King of Wands. Now, this is he is the king of action, right? He is a doer. Wands are actions. So, the felon has been sort of put back on his heels by all of this resistance um, in court. And so he will probably be swinging that wand around, trying to sound big and bad that first week. The second week is the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands, um, I don't know if I showed you the king first. Let me show you how in this card what it looks like. King of Wands. And I think what I'll do is I'll even show you just so you have a context. I have a regular tarot deck here, so I will show you um, the King and Queen of Wands. There's the Queen and there's the King. And I will get the other two cards out as well. Why don't I do that? Um, okay, and then the last one. Okay, so now I've got all the cards out. Just so that you can have some context if you are a tarot reader and are more familiar with the traditional cards. So here's the King of Wands in Anatolian's Tarot of the Abyss. Here he is in front of a fire. Wands and fire do kind of go together. Here's the traditional meaning. This is a card of action, like I said. So expect him to come down with some decrees and just, again, be swinging his wands around. He's getting ridiculed because of the water. What do you call that? Whatever he's trying to paint blue like a swimming pool, and it's going to be bigger than the Empire State Building. And uh, his ballroom got. Uh, the kibosh, so that just looks like it's not happening. So I think he will be what he would call a man of action in that very first week. Now, the second week, the Queen of Wands, she's also somebody who takes action. Queen of Wands. Here she is, but she's seated by a fire. Okay, this is his birthday week. Because the last day will be the 15th. His birthday is on the 14th. Okay. So we'll talk more about those cards, but I wanted to show you. In his third week, we have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles. And I forgot to get that card out, but it is the card with it's essentially the same card as the one I just showed you. Let me just get it. Um, yeah, where you can see they both are very, very similar. He's hunkering down. He is grasping, he's got his feet on the pentacles, both cards. He's grasping another one, and this one even has a second one here. This one's the one on the top. In other words, this is like the miser card. And he's not, he's trying to have all the things, is he not? Including our tax money. He wants all the things. So in that week, he will feel the need to be what greedy, graspy, or he always does, but he will feel more that way to us. And we'll see what the clarifiers say. And then the Five of Swords is the last week. Interesting here. You've got someone sitting with like a little cupcake or a pincushion with swords in it, and then he's got something trapped, a butterfly trapped there in a jar. And here is the traditional card. It looks like someone has just won a battle, but will they live to fight another day? It's questionable. It's questionable. Okay, so let's see what Lenormand has to add to this. In his first week, again, this is coming up, right? As of what, Monday or Tuesday? That's the King of Wands. He has just gotten a whole bunch of bad news on the eve of his birthday. Nobody wants to come to his party. Nobody wants to come to his cage match fight. That's the other thing. Apparently, they can't fill the seats. So they've decided that they're going to fill the seats for the cage match, where fighters are going to fight each other, whatever. He's going to fill the seats with military people. So the way that you can go is if you're like a person in the military, is that you have to pay your own way there, first of all, and you have to meet the height weight requirements, and you have to wear the short sleeve dress uniform. So it's all about the optics, right? He wants a bunch of lily white, he-men looking sailors and soldiers um, who are going to love watching a cage match. And I guess that will be the audience because, I mean, come on. All right. But anyway, that's the second week. So in the first week, we got this King of Wands and okay. Because his birthday is upcoming, the people around him will want to give him happy news, keep him in a good mood, tell him good things. The letter can be anything. I mean, it could be tickets to the cage match, right? It can be rulings or whatever. And then we have the birds. So birds is buzz. So you can expect that the news from the administration will all be rosy and complimentary to dear leader because, it's his birthday eve and they all want to make him happy. So, because he's in a foul mood. So this is about historic positive change. We want the boss to be happy. Let's show him good news, tell him good news, and let's put out good news about him because there's been so much bad stuff. Queen of Wands. Now, to go from a king to a queen, again, this is a traditional system, is a little bit of a come down, right? This is his actual birthday week. So uh, I will tell you what Anatolian says about the Queen of Wands. Let's see if I can find her here. Okay. Queen of Wands sits meditatively in front of a growing fire. Remember, this is the felon's birthday week, uh, that second week. Having received fuel from the Page of Wands and the fire elemental from the Knight of Wands, she bears the all important task of igniting the fire. Because by the time you get to the king, the fire's already going, right? But this is backwards. We started with a king, now we're going to a queen. While the court cards before her, which is the knight and the page, provided her the raw materials for the fire, her function is to bring the fire into being. As a queen should, she tends to the fire with great care and ability, seeing that it remains lit, sharing its vital warmth and light with all. In a reading, she tends to be a warm, outgoing individual. Okay. He is not that, but he will try, because it's his birthday week, he will try to come across as, the avuncular, grandpa-like good guy because he wants everybody to tell him how great and wonderful he is. All right, so for his birthday week, what does he get? Yep. So Queen of Wands was the tarot card. The garden, the fish, and the moon are the Lenormand cards. So the garden is the public. Fish is about emotion, and the moon is about image. And I think he thinks people should be feeling uh, nostalgic about him, grateful that he's the president, as though we are in very good hands, as we would be with the Queen of Wands. That's what he wants. That's the vibe he would like to receive. With the closest people to him, that is the vibe he will receive. How do we know? Because did you see the cabinet meeting last week? It was one of those dear leader things. Oh, if it were not for you, we would be da 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 da. And you're so great. You're so terrific. Of course, he fell asleep in the middle of it, but it will be more of that. The cage match, the concert, all of that is self-congratulatory nonsense, and is meant to give the impression that he is beloved by the people. Now, the third week after the glow is gone, right, from the birthday celebration, we've gone from the king down to the queen, down again to the Four of Pentacles. If you recall, the Four of Pentacles is that graspy, greedy, it's all mine, I'm taking my ball and going home. So the energy feels um, greedy and also depressed because it's never enough. No matter how big the celebration of his birthday is, it will never feel as though it's enough for him. So let's see what we get with Lenormand. Sorry. Okay. So this is after his birthday. The celebrations are all done. We have the ring, the woman, and the man. I just think that it's very interesting to have the ring and to have these pentacle cards, which are also circles. It goes back to the same old, same old, same old. He cannot escape the e-files. Here he is. He can't escape. So even after this birthday celebration and him being under the illusion that he is a beloved leader, it goes back to the same old, which of course, as you can imagine, would make him feel like this. you know. Nobody appreciates the wonder of me, the greatness of me. Look how much money I have. Look how much power I have. Why don't you appreciate that? You know, why aren't you genuflecting? I don't get it. The final week, which is the 23rd through the 30th, I'm saying, is this Five of Swords card. This is not really a nice card. Like when you look at the traditional one, this guy looks like he has bested his foes who have gone off in defeat, but they're not laid out. They're not dead. Is our guy going to live to fight another day? I'm not so sure. And here, I mean, to me, this feels like the felon as a little boy. There's this cupcake that somebody made for him that he stuck swords in. And there is the butterfly in the jar that he's thinking of how he can torture it. That's who he is. So let's see what we get. Okay. So Lenormand gives us Crossroads, the tree, and Rider in that last week of June. Now, we know that the tree is the card for health. And if we want to, I can look at this a couple of ways. One is that his health goes from bad to worse. Also, this is about heart stuff, coronary arteries, or even cerebral arteries. Our brain has arteries as well. But there will be news, I think, about his health, that about his cardiac health. Yeah, I think about his cardiac health. And he does not feel good about this news getting out there. It makes him even more contentious, I think, than he is the week before. So, will he still be with us for the whole month of June? I think he will. Will he have a good lead up to his birthday? Well, he hasn't had a good lead up to his birthday so far. Uh, and I think, again, the people around him will do the happy talk thing and try to make it seem like it's this big festive occasion. But I think that once it's all over and he replays it in his mind, I think he's going to be very disappointed and and also just not understand why, again, people don't recognize and are not in awe of the wonderful awfulness that is him. And I think that it will leave him in the end wanting revenge even more. We know that that whole E. Jean Carroll suit um, or trying to indict her is revenge. We know that he will, since he's taking the Kennedy Center off his list, they will have no funding. We know that he's talking about taking customs agents out of airports that are in sanctuary cities. All of this is revenge behavior. And that's very reminiscent of this card here. So, because he's not appropriately acknowledged to his mind on this greatest of days, not just his birthday, but his 80th birthday, how do we not, how are we not just in awe of all that he's accomplished in his 80 years. He will feel revengeful that he will be made a laughing stock of, you know, because of the cage match, because of the birthday concert that won't be, um, because of all of it. So I think this will be a difficult month for him, a humiliating month for him. And I have to say, my consolation is if he has to be with us in the land of the living, let him, please let him live long enough to know the people's sentiments towards him. I'll just put it like that. And why? Is it because I'm mean? No. I think karmically for him, the more he can realize on this side, the easier it'll make it for him on that side when he gets where he's going. He needs to know the truth about how people feel about him. And I think this month is going to show him a lot of that. I do think his health will worsen in July. I think we will start to see that at the end of June, where it will be appreciably worse. It's already appreciably worse, but I think by the end of June and definitely into July, we will see him failing. All right, that's enough about that. Um, Thank you for being with me. I hope you have a great Friday night. Tomorrow, at some point during the day, I will sit here and do the Lenormand readings for all signs. I'm going to pull 5 cards per sign, spend about 5 minutes talking about those 5 cards, and then going on to the next sign, the next sign, the next sign. There will be timestamps, at least in the description anyway. I've never done them before, but I think it's pretty easy to figure out. And I'll do all 12 and just take notes, see how things play out. If I were you, I would listen to my sun sign, my moon sign, and especially my rising sign if I were you. And in the order, I would listen to rising, sun, and then moon. Um, You all know what your signs are. I am not an astrologer. I have said that many times. Um, but I will have one on Sunday. Uh, I'm not an astrologer, so uh, if you don't know what your sign is, figure it out and then just listen and then take notes. And I'd love to hear back from you how those 5 cards, 15 in all, actually, play out for you during the course of June. And if this is something that we all like, I'll keep it up. Um, if not, I won't, but hopefully you'll all enjoy it and hopefully I'll enjoy doing it for you. All right, everybody. I am off to start my weekend since I will be sitting here at this desk for much of it. But I will see you soon and wish you a good evening. Take care.